Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Oh man, your lips moved faster than your words, Jamie. That was fast. Well done. You're on
Best
Monday.
day of the week.
As always. And we had a news-filled week last week as well. So excited to get into it. But first of all, Jamie, anything wild this weekend?
Wild weekend? No. It was a pretty tame weekend, hanging out with some friends, keeping the kids alive. Same-o.
Yep, I get it. I get the same old. The highlight of the weekend, we're going to be doing basketball this year with Oliver.
Ooh,
and
that's exciting.
I love basketball. So we spent a couple of hours this weekend in the driveway with playing basketball. So he seems to enjoy it. And that makes me very happy.
That's awesome. That's so cute when they're so bad, but so excited.
I will make improvements.
I will share, though, my fun guest complaint that I got over the weekend. It's fall in the mountains, and they complained that there is spiders near the fire pit. And
too many leaves in the driveway.
Yeah.
There were bugs outside. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, some people are scared of spiders. So Jamie, don't allow spiders inside.
Outside.
Or outside. Yeah. Yeah, clear your property. Walk in between every tree on your way.
So crazy.
Awesome. Brandy?
Well, the process of moving it's taking me a long time. But my brother-in-law is a contractor, and very graciously my sister and my brother-in-law and then two other friends of mine came in and helped me install cabinets, assemble my bed, really unpack a lot of stuff. So there's just a couple things left to do, and then I'll finally be done. But it was kind of a heavy work weekend. And then we went out in Boston, and it's really fun to be back here, not as a broke college student. It's nice to go to nicer bars and nicer restaurants and really enjoy the city on a non-broke college student budget.
Fair enough. Well, welcome to you joined Boston right in time for winter. So kudos. Well done.
It was 80 degrees this weekend. So something bad is happening, but it hasn't gotten super cold just yet.
We'll see what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So a couple of fun topics today, one of which I want to jump right into because it's the first of its kind. Airbnb has proactively not mentioned professional hosts for longer than a decade. And for the first time ever, they have brought in 150 hosts. They paid their way, brought in 150 folks from across the country, their top accounts. So that, first of all, a great sign. Second of all, investing in it, which is another great sign. I'd imagine of those 150, probably 125 would have still gone even if it wasn't partially or mostly covered by them. But my readout on it was, Airbnb is a marketing and PR company, and a lot of it was marketing and PR. I don't know that there was a ton of meat and potatoes that got in there, except the fact of the signals that they are interested in opening the dialogue with professional hosts. What's y'all's read on it?
Yeah, I think that there was, based on, this is kind of, I was not present, but seeing everybody's LinkedIn posts, is that there's acknowledgement that the relationship needs to be better. There's like some signals towards like the business profiles, making it easier to delineate who is a professional host and who is not. But I think it's going to be, these are a lot of words, and until we see kind of the action behind it, because this is following many, many, many years of Airbnb really not like, it's like not wanting to mention professional hosts at all. So I'm glad that people left feeling more optimistic, and I hope that and like that attitude continues, and that Airbnb does put out some of these features that they were talking about, because professional managers do make up a significant portion of their revenue. And I did think the interesting point that is a pain point for, I think, any professional host is like the quality scores. And if it's a 1-to-1, one property manager to one property, you're definitely going to have really great reviews. And so how do we as an industry continue to like improve those scores? And it's when you work with larger operators and you have properties that have fallen low, or because they're booked across many channels, they might not have had a review in a year or something. There's no real way to jumpstart those properties anymore. Like once you hit a certain threshold, you just can never get out of that unless you can somehow restart the listing, which is very difficult to do. So I think that would be something I'd like to see Airbnb help us out with, is like, okay, you have this cohort of units that aren't doing well. They haven't been booked in a long time, but then they can't get booked because their reviews, you have one bad review from 18 months ago. How do we actually help that host out instead of just like relegating them to page 99 of the search page?
Yeah, the reviews are a big thing. And then a common gripe from what the Skift article has shared with us is that managers feel like Airbnb always sides with the guests. And we know that's true. Airbnb knows that's true. Everybody knows that's true. Where do you draw the line and make it kind of fair and balanced, and get rid of the bad actors who are citing some crazy thing just to get a refund or get their money back? Or how do you get reviews removed? Because as Brandy just said, you get 1 or 2 bad reviews and you're doomed. You're stuck in this terrible cycle. And then, I think one other thing that I've chatted with a couple of people that went to it as well, and the general sentiment was, let's see what they actually do. Like just this lack of trust built up over 15 years, right? Everyone wants them to be the behemoth that they are and be on kind of our side. And there's no one that's kind of wishing the opposite. But time and time again, if more and more T's and C's come out, or guests get sided with over and over and over again, it's just hard. It degrades the trust between the professionals and the OTAs. Yeah.
And one of the biggest things I think, and you just on the surface, it's like that they're actually having this is a big sign. Personalizing the company. It's not just Brian and this sort of monolith that is Airbnb. There's a whole lot of people that care. It's their job to grow professional inventory. It's their job to grow the business. What I loved looking at the lineup for what they were talking about at the host summit, it was a lot of the product managers. It was a lot of the people that were building tools for professional hosts to make their jobs easier. And then even talking about some of those new initiatives, host profiles, giving a download on like what goes into their search, and sort of optimizing towards 5-star guest reviews, like and how to think about it and how to sort of optimize their own listings to make sure that they're and getting up top in the supply. And then also like digging into the data. Like I love that they spent so much time talking about the trends that they're seeing in their own data set, talk regularly with the Airbnb research team. And like, they've got so many insights on what's happening across their business. That was one of the sessions I had presented to Verma that didn't get selected, was that we were going to dig into and guest preferences and expectations. But I'm really happy that a lot of the insights that Airbnb has is finally getting to the hands of a lot of these professional hosts.
Yeah, I think one of the features that I saw released that might seem simple, but it's such a nightmare, is the ability to create different profiles for your employees to log into one account. Because I mean, as a company that had at one point like 200 employees, having your reservations team and like the two-factor authentication, whose phone does that go to? Does it go to this email? Like just a real nightmare of trying to log in. And then when you try to communicate with someone on like the fraud prevention team or the customer care team or whatever. And then they're like, oh, well, you aren't this person. I'm like, this person is called Romeo from Romy. It's a Fox mascot. Like, so I think it'll just be like, that might seem like a simple thing, but it will help so many people. Just like the headache of dealing with that entire OTA will just almost be like erased from like a logistics perspective. So I really hope that they deliver on that.
That's a big one. Yeah. The other thing I heard from coming out of the event was in typical Airbnb fashion. It was very well curated. The event was well executed, well run, great spaces, great speakers. So top notch, as you would expect from a company as meticulous as Airbnb is with brand and design. So kudos for them for hosting this type of event. I hope to see this happen regularly. They did many, many years ago. They had 2 host summits, one in LA and one in Paris, probably a decade ago. So the fact that they're now starting to re-engage, especially with the professionals in the marketplace, is a good sign of things to come. And, I think with them starting to signal moving into hotels too, that's another professional segment that they're going to have to really partner up with and feel a part of and build the tools the right way. So
I think the other little interesting tidbit from this is the loyalty component that's coming out, like kind of in tandem with this host summit. They've been talking about it for a while. It'll be interesting to see if that's if they can successfully launch a loyalty program. In the article, it was saying that they're probably going to lean away from like a Bonvoy type and do more of a subscription membership. And this is my own personal opinion. I am so tired of subscriptions. But that I understand why like the loyalty play, like points might not be the way they want to go if that's what everybody else is doing. And maybe that's not the future, but I don't want to pay for one more subscriptions. It's just, I have a line item in my like personal accounting software that's the subscriptions. And I'm like, why am I paying for so many things? What is this? So I'm curious what your thoughts are.
And then you use it once and you feel validated. It's like, okay, I used it for the year. I use it
for the year. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah. And B, to your point, I was like thinking about this morning of like these 2 conflating like initiatives that like one, they want to get in hotels and they want to have a loyalty program for hotels. And then 2, they've talked about loyalty in sort of the history of their business and like wanting to do it. And given that they have a loyal membership base, they're like, we don't need to do a traditional program. We want to do something more like Amazon and Costco, where people pay and they get additional benefits on top of that. But we've never seen anyone be able to do that for hotels. Like it's all around earn and burn. You earn on your business travel, you burn on leisure travel. We saw what Airbnb did with Hotel Tonight. Essentially, like we're going to do earn and burn, but we're just going to do it better than anyone else. We're going to give you more cash to use on your Airbnb stays. So as we sort of look to what they're going to announce, like I see it leaning way more into the hotel type programs like of earn and burn, unless that they're going to be able to come up with some sort of magical membership play that we're all willing to pay $150 a month to be part of.
Absolutely not at that price.
Yeah, well, look,
$150 a year.
Maybe.
The travel membership is an interesting one the subscription side, the thought goes to two places. Is it a timeshare or is it a credit card? Right. So those are the two things that people pay travel subscriptions for. And on the credit card side, Amex has a million other things of how you're getting that $500 back. You get Clear credit, you get Uber credit, you get Delta credit, you get, you can easily see how you recoup that 500 plus some, and then have all the rewards and benefits that go along with it. And on the timeshare side, where you're traveling. It's the same thing over and over again. You're prepaying for your vacations and financing it over a course of a year. How an OTA does it, I'll be fascinated. And I think this probably goes to Brian's bigger view of not just being a travel company, but being a services company too. Can you turn this into your monthly subscription and you get one house cleaning a month, you get one massage a month, you get one private chef a month, but in essence, you're in that case prepaying for these services. So, let's see how it actually gets rolled out. This is one we've been talking about this one over the weekend on our chat, but I think this is one that they can't just throw something out there and then pull it back. When you launch loyalty, you launch loyalty. There's not really a painless way of changing it or renaming it or reframing it. So they have to be very, very thoughtful about this, do it the right way the first time. And I don't know if including things like services makes sense because of how many times we've seen services come and go.
Yeah, I think off camera earlier, we were talking about how in some ways it's really, I don't know, inspiring or interesting or good, whatever, like positive, that Airbnb as such a big company routinely launches things that fail, and that they can that there is an appetite for spending that kind of like public and literal capital. But then to your point, this is not one of those times. They can't experiences can get relaunched or services can get relaunched with a fresh little makeover, but this is kind of one and done. So maybe they'll take some more time before publishing it or releasing it.
Yeah. If you want to kill loyalty, you launch loyalty and change it entirely after people have become loyal. Exactly. And burn. You're done. People have moved on. Speaking of moving on, Jamie, you are our data and AI nerd, self-proclaimed or titled by other members.
Yeah.
Fill us in on Expedia and Perplexity's most recent comments.
Yeah, so I got excited about this one as a regular Comet user. So Comet is Perplexity's AI browser. So I think we all typically use Chrome, and maybe there's people that use Edge or what is Apple Safari. But Comet is the new AI browser, and a lot of people think that AI browsers are going to be the next big thing. That's how we're going to interact. That's how we interact with the internet now, is through browsers, and letting AI sit on top of that, seeing what we do, really helping us do those things in browser are going to be the next big wave. And a big piece of that is travel. So what am I going to book? What options should I be reviewing? And summarize all the reviews for me and bring up the 5 best options that I should be booking for this trip to Rome next month, and summarize and what are the decision points there. So Expedia is sort of partnered with Comet. So when you download Comet, you get a free upgrade to Silver with one key, as Will so graciously just flashed across the screen. That is, one, going to help them grow their one key user base, and two, and gets people using AI for travel, but making sure that it's happening within the Expedia ecosystem and getting them to book through Expedia. And I think becomes to be a real playground for how does AI and travel booking work best.
Yeah, I'm not the early adopter. I'm usually kind of the second wave of adoption.
Yeah.
I can't imagine booking my next trip on Perplexity, on Comet, on any AI channel I'm just not there yet. I don't know if it's lack of trust, or I just enjoy the research and the process, or I'm particular, or something else. I think from an Expedia standpoint, again, minus the TikTok partnership that Booking had, this is another kind of feather in their cap on the B2B side of things. They're locking in one of the largest LLMs in a partnership for their B2B product. And Perplexity is essentially, I would assume, going to get a piece of the commission for everything that gets booked through their model. I don't know that for sure. That wasn't stated anywhere that I read, but that's most likely the scenario. So the big companies are already locking in some of the large organizations, and I'm just fascinated with how this is going to look for direct bookings 10 years from now. I think there's probably a lot of folks like me that are going to be several years out from using this to book things like travel. But I think we can all assume in 10 years that this is probably just the normal use case.
Well, I think that might be the kind of the thing that gives a lot of people some anxiety about how all of this is going to unfold, because if the main, if everybody's using, or not everybody, if a lot of people are using this browser and then it's just automatically baked into Expedia, I mean, not even just the little guy, but any of the other OTAs would also be very nervous. So then if you're just like, is my direct booking strategy going to become obsolete because there just is no way that people are going to find it? And I know I'm also not great at telling like where in this, this revolution that we're in, but it doesn't feel like we're right there. But I can easily see like if every browser has a partnership with a OTA like Expedia or Booking, then how would you ever find a direct site?
Yeah, and I think this is a big point on, like, the booking is happening through Expedia. Like, it's not like I'm booking through Comet or having to trust this AI. It essentially like gives me an entry point of like, I was going to type into GPT, like, let me find a great lodging option in Rome on these weekends and I'm traveling with my family. Essentially, it's going to do that. It's going to go click through the browser. It's going to use all the filters. It's going to find the best options and then present those options to me. Like, I can say book, and then it's going to go ahead and book it through Expedia, and I'm going to get my points, and everything's going to happen sort of seamlessly. So it is like that assistant that's helping you. You're still getting to view. You're still getting to use the Expedia app. It's still sort of happening and sort of in that ecosystem. It's just that browser agent helping you through the process. I absolutely think it's going to take some time for the general public to get comfortable with it, but you can clearly see how this sort of helps you with that selection process, brings those best options to you, and then takes those like the pain point of booking travel, like of getting through the checkout process of evaluating, like, is this actually a good listing? Does it have good reviews? Helping you build that trust. It's making that piece so much easier.
I think the area where I'm more excited for in the near term for me personally in travel is flights. I was talking about this off camera, but like Google Flights is what I usually go to, and I feel like it's just gotten worse. And so I can't really articulate why. But that's like a thing I'm excited about, like having an AI agent or bot really find the best routes, the best prices, the best times, and offering like, the sky scanner, I want to go anywhere today, or like, I want to go somewhere on this continent today. Tell me where I can go. I think that kind of stuff is going to be really fun and something I would use that like immediately. So that'll be fun to see.
Yeah. Spontaneity use cases. I get, the use of something like AI. If I'm traveling somewhere for work or it's a meaningful trip, I want to be controlling it, not the computers. For the
some control issues.
No, look, there's a time where you need to have your hand on the scale, and there's a time where you need to sit back and let the AI machine make all of your decisions for you. But I think there's a long way to go for this. This does feel like the early internet days when there was so much promised, and then it took 10 years after all the promises came for things to actually start really hammering home and being delivered. So let's see how this plays out. I don't think we're going to know in the next year or two. This will be an episode we can come back in 2030, 2035 and see if our predictions are right long term.
Well, it's one of those things where, there's so many AI tools getting just like crammed at you throughout like a lot of people's workplaces. Now this isn't their personal life. So people might need a little bit of time to not feel like they're just getting like drowned in AI add-ons before they start really embracing it. And then, if any of these products really deliver like critical value, it's going to be like people will catch on, and then like those good products will survive. So but you're right. That's a couple of years from now.
Yep. And the last quick mention, going into conference season where all of us will be traveling a lot, we've got the government shutdown. And anytime the government shuts down, travel tends to become more painful, whether it's air traffic control, TSA, customs, etc. What are y'all's thoughts? I've had some friends go through the airports last week. It wasn't a problem yet, but no one has missed their paycheck. That starts this week. So
I'll find out a week from today. I'm taking the train to New York on Wednesday, but I'm flying home because the flights were like $60. But there may be a cost to that cheapness. So next Monday, we'll find out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Likewise, we're flying to, my wife and I are flying to the Dominican on Monday morning out of Atlanta, and Monday morning in Atlanta is already a pain just because all of the consultants flying out, but flying international while the government shut down, we might be there a little earlier than normal.
The comment I'll make sits around like national parks and short-term rentals. So national parks, obviously part of our national government, and the funding for the parks has been sort of cut, and until it gets reappropriated with reopening the government. So far, most of the parks have remained open, whether that's through sort of using their daily fees that they collect, or even states coming in and say, you know what? Like, these parks are so important for our local economies that we're willing to pony the money to keep them open. I think we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how long a lot of those funds are going to last. And for so many of the parks, like you think Great Smoky Mountain National Park, like it's one of the largest visitation drivers to an area that is sort of dependent on people continuing to come and stay and really stay in short-term rentals. You've got Utah, Bryce Canyon, Zion National Park, Arches, and October, November is and almost peak season for those markets. It's starting to cool. It's great to travel, hike, and it can happen slowly. And people start shutting down different access to the parks. Like maybe some stays open, but then you start to see visitation decline. And that could have a major impact on our industry. So I think we haven't yet seen the impact, but if we start getting into weeks and months of the parks and funding being pulled back, we could absolutely start to see an impact to short-term rentals and travel in general. TSA agents not getting paid for a week, and maybe they're still coming to work, but what did we see in the last shutdown that lasted 3-4 weeks? That people started calling in sick. We started to see long lines start to show up. So that is a big concern for maybe not this week, but if it continues on.
Yeah, and at one point they shut down LaGuardia for a day or something, didn't they?
I don't remember that.
I hope not. But that's where I'm flying out of on Monday.
Well, Godspeed. Yeah, and we'll see. We'll keep a close eye on how this progresses and how it affects the industry as a whole. So far, nothing massive, no massive stories around it besides what you would expect but I do suspect, like Jamie said, the longer it goes on, the more impact and more downstream effects that we'll see, which will not be a great thing for any of us as we gear up for our busy travel season.
And just the last sort of PSA, like there are parks closed. So if you're planning a trip to the national parks this fall, like make sure to check that it's actually going to be open when they show up.
Yeah, it's you gotta pay extra attention to the news around your travel times.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for us today. Thanks to all of our live viewers for listening. You can check out our links in the show notes, and I hope everyone has a great week.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.